Your perception is as far as your understanding will go. When you see someone, what is your first thought? How do you perceive them? Is it twisted by their skin color, religion, origin? How many lives have been destroyed by the perception? How many faiths have been ridden because things aren't always what they look like? Look beyond the skin. Don't let the world outside your eyes be a statistic. Peer beyond the optics.
Well, I can recall back to when I was 6, maybe 7 years old. That was my earliest memory of me being attracted to any gender, whether it be male or female.
Well, when I was born, the hospital took me away from my mom because they found narcotics in my system. So I was immediately given to my grandparents.
It was interesting how I went from Afrocentric spirituality to atheism or skepticism and not really believing in anything.
We all shape our perception of others in many different ways. We judge others based on their appearance rather than ask the simple question, who are you?
When I first met Terrence, he was kind of hard to read. He was more of a quiet dude, kind of like a classic man. He always kind of dressed kind of spiffy. So my first impression of him really was, he's educated and he's about his grind. He was trying to, graduate and get out of school. That's it.
What I think people see when they see me versus what they actually see is apparently two polar opposites, because when people see me, I guess they take, because I'm masculine, so to say, that I am straight. And most of the time I walk around in a dress shirt, dress slacks, dress shoes, and they think that, oh, he's just a straight African-American professional male. Well, I can recall back to when I was 6, maybe 7 years old. That was my earliest memory of me being attracted to any gender, whether it be male or female. I was staying with my grandmother at the time. It was me, my sister, and my grandmother. My mother was in jail, but I also had a friend that stayed in the same apartment complex as us. And he was the same age as me. His name was Joey. He was a little white guy, and he stayed with his father. But I just remember us playing hide and seek one day, so to say, but we were only playing it in the house. And I hid in the closet. He found me. And when he came in the closet, we were just playing around, like small boys that age do. But at one point, he told me to do something. And me not knowing any better, I did it. And from there, it was just that I just followed what he said, whether it was telling me to do something sexual to him, or me doing something sexual or he doing something sexual to myself. And at the time, I don't want to make it seem like or insinuate that it was any type of molestation, but I just didn't know any better, and so I just went along with it.
So you hear he's gay, and what does that make you think about, what do you think he's had to go through, knowing that?
I know his struggles. I know it's hard, especially being black and gay, and you gotta go through, especially if you're raised in the church, and how your mom feels, and you're already black, so then you add gay to it. It's double pressures, it makes things more harder than what it's supposed to be.
All right, well, thank you.
Coming out to my mother, it was a night I was 17 years old, and I just had the idea that I just wanted to tell her just so we could be closer, because we were already best friends at the time, pretty much. So I just sat her down one day, and I remember I couldn't stop laughing for the life of me, because for some reason I just thought it was funny. And so she sat down, and I told her, I said, I introduced you to one of my friends a few weeks ago. And she was like, yeah. I was like, well, at that time, that was my boyfriend. And she just looked at me with this straight look on her face, and I was like, so that means I'm gay? And she was like, okay, I smoke weed. I was like, I know. And she said, okay, well, I'm going to sleep. And that was pretty much it. And we've been best friends even since before then, since that day.
my first impression was, dang, she is beautiful. And she the type of pretty that you would think she's stuck up and she don't want to, you know, be bothered or anything. I thought she was going to be, not want to be in people's face and want to be to herself, kind of in her own lane, and she just didn't speak to people, you know. But obviously I was wrong.
Most of the time, I don't find people that I can actually talk to and share my experiences. So I find it very therapeutic when I can write on a paper or, you know, type a whole story out and not say it, but say it. When I was born, the hospital took me away from my mom because they found narcotics in my system. So I was immediately given to my grandparents. So I was raised by my grandparents. I remember this time she had picked us up for a weekend. We had to be with my mom for a weekend. It was me, my sister, and my brother. And, you know, she had food stamps. You know, we went to H-E-B, bought all this stuff, and we're thinking we're just going to our house, and we ended up going to like an abandoned house, and in the middle of the night it got like shot up, so we had to like duck down and all types of things like that. So those things I remember vivid in my mind, so it's like a constant, you know, vision that I can't get rid of. So yeah. It would mean a lot to me. If my mom can show up to my graduation, because she was never there. So when she showed up to my high school graduation, I was really surprised. I didn't expect her to be there. When she showed up to certain games, I didn't expect her to be there, and I was always excited, but I was embarrassed because of the things that she would do. But it would mean a lot to me because college graduation is a different level, you know. I would like the world to know that I am, how creative I am. My stories, my you know, stories that I make up, and how my thought process is, and if I wrote a story, I want them to be put in that world.
Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do.
If society looks at me just clear-cut who I am and physically from the physical standpoint, then they see a black man who's tall, possibly an athlete, you know? So we're in the South too, so they automatically attach things to me that are not of me. So they see a black man that's tall, athlete, yeah, he has to play sports. We're in the South, Bible Belt, he has to be religious. He has to be a God-fearing man. He has to be a Christian of some sort.
I guess his views on Christ is different, which is, you know, shocking, because I don't really see people being atheists. It's not common, I guess, but it is shocking.
It was interesting how I went from Afrocentric spirituality to atheism or skepticism and not really believing in anything. That was pretty much the biggest stretch. That was when my family and friends said, okay, you're researching too much. You need to leave the books alone. You're tripping. There's always a God, like you're tripping, you know. But my fearlessness and my curiosity thirsted for more. It hungered for more.
Our new ideas, our innovations, if we continue to eschew science, eschew the process, and try to divide science into observational science and historic science, we are not going to move forward. We will not embrace natural laws. We will not make discoveries. We will not invent and innovate and stay ahead.
When I first heard Rashad voice his opinions on certain topics, I was kind of shocked because I didn't know he was so I don't know the word for it. He was so outspoken. He was so outspoken, and he was so stern in his opinions and his beliefs.
Science and history was a phenomenal point of bringing me out of skepticism into the areas of atheism. That was one of the biggest things. I have to admit that prior to my exploration in my spirituality and stuff like that, I was ignorant towards certain sciences and historical perspective. So I seek more into the areas that people said were forbidden and that society shunned as taboo and the unknown and untouchables. I drove more in those areas, and I questioned more and demanded more from my family and friends to hold that area accountable as you do everywhere else. And I said, seek, ask questions.
Silhouettes, transverse space without dimension, in human forms with features unmentioned, shallow perception disguised by lies. This documentary is more important than the 3 individuals depicted. This documentary is me. This documentary is you.